Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome. This is a new perspective, and it's just very fitting because this is also a completely new stream of energy. A part of the collective that I have not tapped into yet. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. The energy actually came into my field yesterday, and there was a guides collective. Yeah, a guides. Are you a guides collective, or just one guide? It feels like many. We are many. Yes. Okay. So they came through yesterday. And I'm actually really excited because this is such a beautiful and fun energy. And I want to start off by just talking a little bit about the energy in general and how it feels. And like I said, it's very different to actually everything I've experienced up until now. It's a very... How can I describe it? I feel like there's a lot of creativity and playfulness here, which tells me that, yeah, it feels like you are a very creative person, a very playful person. You like to experiment, you like to just like maybe combine unusual things, and I'll get to that in a minute, why I feel like that. Like you have a very unique way of creating life's an adventure, I just heard. And I feel like that you have the sense of that inspiration is just around every corner. Like you have this way of walking through life where you just feel like everything and anything can be my inspiration. And I think that's incredibly beautiful. I get really emotional. Wow, okay. Yeah, that is so beautiful. Wow, okay. I don't know why I'm getting so emotional here. Maybe this is something like you don't feel valued enough for that. Maybe you've experienced that you are received as being weird, just different. And I can tell you, like, people who connect with me in my channel, like, we all have had the experience of being perceived as very different, and most people felt very different throughout their lives. Yeah, but I think you know how, quote unquote, special you are. Like, you know your unique quirkiness and you love it. And at the same time, you know that you're often misunderstood or perceived as a little weird, a little off by other people. I'm not sure if this actually bothers you. I think you are quite, I do feel a confidence in that uniqueness. And I'm sorry when I'm like going on about like what I feel here, but it's my way of getting acquainted with the energy, with you, basically, with who I'm talking to here. All right, so I want to talk a bit about those guides that came through because they said something to me yesterday. And they said it with, it was so gentle and loving. It was in such a loving way. And they said something about a hopeless romantic. And, there's this notion in there about being naive or, yeah, believing in obviously like romantic love. I'm not sure, is it only about love? No, it's not. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Because I think because Valentine's Day is just around the corner, so I probably interpreted it that way, but it feels bigger than that. Yeah. It's just that I picked up on a lot of energy around Valentine's Day and romantic feelings, like in romantic love. It's part of it, I hear. It's part of it, but it's bigger. Oh, that's part of the message. Okay. There's like this first thing coming through about, about your quirkiness, about your unique way of being creative. And like I said, inspiration is just everywhere. And you walk through that, you walk through life with that. This always looking for the next inspiration. And there's something about missing that feeling in your relationships. And I feel like this is very much regarding romantic relationships, not so much friendships. Maybe it could be friendships too, but it has this very romantic partner vibe. I mean, of course, there are people out there who don't want to have a romantic partnership. Doesn't mean that this message cannot be for you. Apply it in whatever way it feels right to you. Okay, so there's this thing about, like, you have in your, like, when you are on your own, when you are in this adventurous, creative spirit, there's something so magical about that. But somehow there are parts in your life where this magic is missing. And like I said, like romantic partnerships, relationships in general, maybe, is one part of that. And there are two cards lying here on the table already. They fell out of the deck, and I felt like keeping them. So, for one, I see like this very beautiful. I hope you can see it. This very beautiful sun card with that woman, and like I said, like you're walking through life with this. There's this beautiful. It's almost like a halo, but not in like this saint Christian kind of way, but this is like a sun goddess. And you see like the beauty in life everywhere. You see the flowers next to the road, and it's sunflowers. So it's this. I'm sorry. I don't want to say it's always happy, because we have this Ten of Pentacles card here, which is kind of, I feel like it's not a contradiction. How do you say? It's like two opposites. We have the sun here, like the day, the sunflower, and then we have this dragon sleeping in a cave, and it's a very It feels like night or darkness. But yeah, the Ten of Pentacles is also it's a card of abundance, basically. And that's what I feel. I feel like you are, in and of yourself, a very abundant person. Just because of your unique way of looking at the world. And you're able to find abundance everywhere. And yeah, it's also like you don't crave those earthly. I just heard something. What was it? Not earthly pleasures. Yeah, it doesn't come back. It's not important. I feel like what they mean is you don't chase after status symbols. You don't have to have the latest phone. You don't care about fancy holidays that look good on your Insta profile, or like you just don't care about those things. You just you feel like somebody who is very content with what they have, and you're very good at making the best of what you have. Okay, but that's a great skill. But sometimes there is the danger of being okay with less than what's actually possible for you. And like I said, this doesn't feel like, this is not about things or money or something like that. Because like I said, I feel like this is not really important to you. Okay, they are bringing me back to this relationship topic. So it's more about this, this relationship thing. Maybe you're putting up with less than what you could have, what you deserve, and what you, when you're really, like when you're honest with yourself, with what you actually wish for. Where is that hopeless romantic of yours when it comes to relationships? Interesting. So I feel like there are a few different variations of that topic in here. So it feels like there are those of you who are maybe in relationships, or you've been in relationships, and you just coped with whatever was there, because like we all have our baggage and our relationship patterns, and there are so many of us who stayed longer in relationships than we should have, at least what we think that we should have. Actually, I live by this philosophy of, if you stay in a place, relationship, whatever, and you didn't feel it was time to leave, you didn't feel the need to leave, or you felt like you could not leave, then there's always something in there. There's still something in there that you want to experience or want to learn from a soul's perspective. It doesn't mean that you as a person actually want to experience that, but maybe your soul does, or it could also very well be that you don't want to experience it, but you just haven't quite reached the point where you were able to make a different choice, a different decision. And let's be clear here, I'm not talking about incredibly abusive relationships. That's a different matter, because often in those kinds of relationships, it's not that easy to just leave because there are some really real fears and concerns about your safety and all of that. I'm not talking about that. If you are in one of those relationships, please go and find yourself help if you want to leave, because there is always a way out, but you don't have and probably should not walk this path alone. Okay, got a little bit sidetrailed here. Okay, I feel like somebody needed to hear that don't beat yourself up if you feel like you stayed maybe in relationships longer than you should have. Because like I said, there's always something that is like there for you to learn, or otherwise you would not have stayed there. If you would have been done with the experience, you would have left. It's that simple. Sorry, I had to take a sip of my coffee here. It's cold by now. All right, I got a little bit sidetracked. Can you please put me back in? Oh, okay. That phrase, put me back in. I heard a song from Hosier. I never know how to pronounce him. Hosier? Where it's like, I do it all over again. At the end of it, how does it go? I just hear the phrase, put me back in. It's about, when I remember correctly, it's about like living a life, and like he wouldn't, like despite all the pain, despite everything he endured, at the end of it, he would ask for, please put me back in, because it's just life and he loves living life. At least this is what I always got from the lyrics. I feel like you're one of those persons. And like I said, maybe there's someone who has like this feeling of regret of staying too long in a relationship. But actually, I feel like there are also a part of you who are like, no, that was actually, I learned a lot there. And I wouldn't be the person who I am today if I hadn't experienced that. So, okay, getting back to this idea about like the hopeless romantic and what I said, like there are different variations of that topic. And I'm sorry when I'm sometimes going down little rabbit holes. That's, for one, my way of processing energy and reading. And I feel like I'm always, like, my readings very much reflect the energy of the collective that I'm reading for. So I feel like you are maybe somebody who gets sidetracked easily or going down rabbit holes. But usually you find your way back to where you started. So I was talking about, I feel like either you are someone who has been in one of those relationships and somehow it never really worked out. And there is this question of, where is this helpless romantic who actually does not put up with less than what they are dreaming of? And then there is like this other variation of this topic of someone who, I see someone sitting on a bed with a cat and just looking out of the window and like dreaming of I hear Prince Charming, but that's too cheesy. It's not cheesy. It's like you're dreaming of that one person who just gets you. Because like I said, you're quirky. You're unique. So you need that very unique person on your side who just gets you. And it feels like either like that person, you just haven't met them, or maybe you have and it didn't work out. So you're a little bit stuck on that. So like there are like all kinds of different scenarios. This is a collective reading, so it's I'm spending too much time here on going down those different rabbit holes. I'm sorry. Because I actually had a very fun idea. And that is why I said I feel like you are very unique in your approach, and you're like to combine interesting things that usually don't go together. And okay, there is like so much more I want to say, and I cannot decide on what to say. Okay, I just want to say like there's this feeling of like I said, there was this very gentle energy, this kind way of saying like, oh, you're just like this hopeless romantic, but with so much love. And this is nothing you have to be ashamed of, or you have to I just hear don't grow up, it's trap. That side of yours that is so playful and creative and all of that, it's beautiful, and you should really cherish that. But like I said, I feel like you're actually very, very confident in that. I don't know why I'm circling back to this. Oh yeah, what I wanted to say is I also feel like there's some kind of Libra energy here. It's very calm. Maybe it's just because it's like Venus with this Valentine's Day coming up, goddess of love. Maybe you are Libra, or you have a Libra placement in your chart that's important. Whatever, okay. Moving on. Yeah, moving on. So, this very unique idea that they have was actually... Oh yeah, I wanted to say, like, you feel like a very sweet person. So, what I have are gummy bears. And we are just going to read those gummy bears. And they, like your guides, actually made me go to the store and purchase this very specific type of Haribo gummy bears, which is Fantasia. And I'm so excited to try this, to see what kind of messages they have, and we'll just have a few of those gummy bears. One more. This one. Okay. So that's a first for me too. I mean, I sometimes do omen readings, but this is unique. This is very unique. Like I said, okay, where did those frogs go? They fell out earlier. Yeah, they were right there. Okay. So, let's see. The first thing I'm drawn to is this flamingo right here in the center. And flamingos, again, are for me, like, they're like this very unique bird. I mean, they're pink and they're standing on one leg. But, and they are always, I don't know, like, there was this trend a few years ago, and you, like, all the millennials can remember it very, very well, I guess. At least I do. There was this trend of, like, there were flamingos just like on anything. It was this hipster trend, and like flamingos just on notebooks, on what, like everywhere. And they were this kind of chill out, unique, I'm a little bit different, I'm a little bit weird kind of vibe. But the interesting thing about flamingos is that they are actually animals that don't live alone. They are actually in a, what is it called? A flock? Like a herd? Is it a flamingo herd? I don't think so. Well, they are living with other flamingos. And the interesting thing is that they are usually depicted as a single flamingo, but they are actually always living with other flamingos. And suddenly, when you have like a crowd of flamingos, if the flamingo it's still an interesting, unique looking bird, but there's so many of those flamingos that it's suddenly it's like, quote unquote, normal. So there's something about like having to find your flock, having to find your community, the one that suits you. And suddenly you are not that, yeah, like I said, alone and weird. You're not the odd one out when you're just like with a bunch of weirdos. And I mean, every person is unique in their own way, but I think you know what I mean. All right, so here the chameleon is actually speaking to me about like your ability to, you're very good to adapt. You can adapt to any kind of situation. And there is a little bit of a warning again in here. Like, this is a great skill. It is. But it's like they're bringing me back to this relationship thing again. Like, watch out where you are maybe are a little bit too chameleon-like in being with other people, and again, like very much in those one-on-one relationships. Romantic relationships are like, they are great for growth, but they're also usually the most complicated ones to navigate, simply because they're more intense, more intimate, more they're very close, and we like, there are all kinds of expectations, and yeah, there's so much stuff that you have to figure out, because you simply want to share your life with another person, and it's easy to get lost in the expectations of other people or your partner. I keep hearing something about societal norms. And this can actually, there's something about this. This can go both ways. This could be that maybe you are a person who is not so into, or like maybe you don't really crave a quote unquote normal relationship, whatever is considered like normal in your society. It's like more a traditional monogamous relationship. But it could also be the other way around. And this is interesting because this is springing out to me right now. Like that there is this chameleon and it's not gray, or like it's not, it's very colorful. So we could also feel forced to adapt to maybe a more unconventional style of living if we are surrounded by people who live this kind of way. But for example, when you are in a community where it's like maybe more polyamorous and you feel like you should do that too, but actually you don't feel like doing it. Maybe if you're really true to yourself, you are a monogamous person. Or maybe you are somebody who doesn't want to have a relationship at all. So there's something about like being really, really honest about yourself, who you are. And this can go in any direction. Like we usually think about it like in this typical way of, wait, I don't want to have the societal normative relationship, but it could actually be like anything. It could go any way. I'm drawn to those frogs here. So for one, I get this thing about like you have to kiss a few frogs before like the right one. There is again like the Prince Charming, before you find your prince. And there's something that's interesting because there's like this one frog, and it's like you can see the frog, and it feels like this is like in your past. I'm reading this as like a timeline right now. So this is in your past, and this is the only frog that you can see. And maybe there's a feeling of like being a little bit fixated on that frog. And there are like two frogs here that you cannot see. There's something you cannot see. I'm also very much drawn to this caterpillar down here, which is lying, it's beneath the frogs. Okay, there's something about this caterpillar, but it's still in the caterpillar era. And it's not quite a butterfly yet. It's still in like this development state, which is why like those two frogs are still like not visible. There's something in the making. But what is important is that when you stay here, when you stay fixated here, this whole energy, it cannot, I'm sorry, I just bumped against the camera. Like it cannot move forward. It's staying in this caterpillar state, but you want it to grow into a butterfly, right? But in order for it to do that, you have to let go of the past. There's something about letting go of the past. Okay, now that I'm sorry, but this reading is weird. It's very weird. Now I'm drawn to this bottle of Coke up here. And I don't know if you know the 90s movie, and I feel like this is maybe there are a few millennials watching, because there was this movie in the 90s, and I'm honestly, I don't know the English title of the movie. But it was about an African tribe, like people living in like a tribal community in Africa. Oh, it's been so long since I've seen the movie. But one day there is a bottle of Coke, like an empty bottle of Coke, falling down from the sky. And then like one of their warriors decides, because like people start arguing about like this bottle, and somebody is hurt, and so he decides like, I have to, like it, they believe it came from the gods, and this is why he has to take this bottle back to them, and he has to like take it away and make them take it back, when I recall it correctly. And then he's just going on this whole adventure. Okay, so there's something about something very unexpected coming in, something you don't see coming, like this bottle of Coke just falling from the sky. And it's taking you on an adventure, and it's something you don't know, like something that is very new to you. It's something you haven't seen before. And the turtle that's sitting next to the dragon, they are both for me very, very wise creatures. And they're both, for me, storytellers. Or like the dragon is for me more like a creative force that is very much to do with creative energy, life force energy. And the turtle, which is like one of my personal meanings, is about like the storyteller, full of ancient wisdom, but also full of weaving stories out of that deep, deep wisdom, but in a very playful way. And this again brings me back to this fantasia, which is like this whole world of creative energy, which is your own. Okay, so this reading is getting super, super long, and it's a little bit all over the place. I'm not quite sure what really to make of this energy. Draw a card, I hear. Which one? Which deck? Okay. So my readings usually are really long, but this one is going to be exceptionally long without... I don't want to... Okay, there's something about apologizing for taking up space, and I know this is something I have to deal with all the time. Like that's a me thing for one, but okay. Sorry, I just was taken by surprise. So what I was saying was like there's something about like taking up space, being afraid to taking up too much space. Again, like this feeling of I'm sorry I'm being weird. I'm sorry I'm being like a little bit all over the place. Okay, so this is like is this a whole new thing? And should I really go down that rabbit hole? Let it be a side note, they're saying. Okay, so there's something about like you feeling like your brain is working in a different way. And I can tell you, like, I know my brain is working in a very unique and different way than what like the majority of people would perceive as being normal. And like there's this whole topic of neurodivergence and like quote unquote neurotypical people and like all of this stuff. So I know my brain is just working in different ways, and it's working in circles, and it's making like associations, and it's like I am processing information in a very deep way, which is why it's also slower. And this is why my readings, for example, often get very long, because I sometimes really have to work through an energy, especially if it's new, like this one. And like I have this, like I said, unique way of working through energy, and sometimes this just takes time. And so I don't really mean this as like me apologizing to you or justifying why this reading is so long. It's something that like seems to be important for this reading. So what I'm the card that I just draw, the reason why I said like it caught me off guard is because it's this one, and it came out in like the last two readings that were a very, very different energy. So I was very surprised that this one came out again. And I want to draw a few more cards around that, just in order to make sure that we are on the right track here. All right. So we have this card that I said came out over the last few readings, which is Beyond the Threshold of Fear. And those readings were a lot about like being in this in-between space, working through some very dense and challenging energies, to be honest, like standing on a threshold in an area of like tests and there's no movement at all. Felt very liminal, very much in between. And while I'm talking about it, I can tell like my voice is starting to, like there's a tingling sensation in my voice. And I know there were a lot of voice activations. There is something about unique self-expression in there. We've been going through that collectively for sure. It's also something about the nodes of fate right now. Like in astrology, we have the North Node in Pisces at the moment, and which means the South Node in Virgo. And there is this topic of voice and what do I have to say? Who's interested in what I have to say? And there it is again, this topic of me like talking about, oh, this is too long. Did I talk in circles? Is this even making sense? Who cares? And I do experience that a lot during my readings, to be honest. And I always have to work through it and just say like, okay, no, I'm trusting that whatever is coming out here is just like perfectly timed, and it is what it is and how it's supposed to be. So I feel like there's something like either you are working through that right now or you have worked through it, maybe. Because this is actually like it's lying. I'm still seeing this as like this is something that's in the past or it's about to be in the past. And you have like these two cards that we talked about in the beginning, like as your core center. This is who you are. And this is how everything else is expanding around you, working around you. Okay, so for one, there is like this reminder of staying your center. Like we're coming back to this topic of sometimes losing yourself in relationships or like in general, in things, in anything. Like you are easily swept up by creative projects, ideas, people, relationships, which is beautiful, but it's equally important to always come back to your center and to remember who you are. Now I'm kind of reading this like the 4 directions. Like this is the west where the sun sets. So this is like what the era of your life where the sun is setting. This is the east. This is like on the horizon, what's coming. Dance of the divine feminine. I'm reading this like, for one, again, like this creative energy, but there's like this movement, this flow, this look at all those colors, and there's like this whirlwind of energy just flowing, and she is flowing with it. And it's again like this feeling of getting sucked in, but I feel like it's not in a negative way. It's like taking a ride. It's just jumping on a wave and going with it, but also being able to jump off that wave, to get out of that stream of energy anytime when you feel like, oh no, I need to go back to my center. And again, bringing it back to like this relationship thing is you will attract the right people, you will attract your tribe the more you stay in this energy. The more you will draw people in your life that match this energy. And this is like the north and the south direction. But I also hear as above, so below. So in the south or below, we have the right choice. And I just heard things going south. Like there is a fear of making a choice because you feel like things might go south. They might not go the way you hope for them to go. Okay, but there is like, have no fear. There's again this topic about what I talked about earlier, that in like when you are in a situation, place, work environment, personal relationship, whatever, and looking back, you are like, why did I stay there? Why did I put up with that kind of behavior, whatever? I guarantee you will always find an answer to your question, why? There must have been something in there why you did it. Otherwise, you would not have done it. So when you apply this idea of there's always a reason for you being in a certain kind of experience, then you can stop worrying about making the right choice, because there are no wrong choices. There's simply the path you walk. There's simply the next step you are taking. And everything you experience on your path is there to teach you something, is maybe there to open up another door, to gain new perspectives, to, like I said, learn something, to meet somebody. I don't know, like there are a million possibilities why you are called to walk a certain path. And very often it is not what our mind wants to make it. For example, maybe you meet somebody at a party, a guy or a woman, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like you meet somebody and you think like, oh, you start dating and you feel like, oh, this could be going somewhere. And you are making up like this whole story in your head about this being like the one person you were looking for. There he is again, the Prince Charming. And I'm sorry, maybe it's a Princess Charming. Like this could be the one. And your mind is like putting on like all those different kinds of narratives and ideas. But then in the end, it doesn't work out. And you are disappointed and you don't understand because it felt so right and there were all the signs and why did I do that? And maybe you made an acquaintance like through that person that you dated for a while, and maybe this acquaintance, like maybe it's a friend of theirs. I'm just making up this whole story right here, so just bear with me. It could be that through them you meet somebody else that offers you a job or becomes a business partner or becomes your next best friend or whatever, your travel buddy, or I don't know. Like sometimes we experience something and we think, oh, that's it. That's this one thing. This is the next relationship. This is like my dream job. This is whatever. And then it doesn't work out. But what we didn't expect is that something else came through that door, but we didn't see it coming. And there we are again with this Coke bottle that's falling from the skies, and we didn't even know it existed. We didn't even know that it was about to come down and almost fall on our head. So there's something here that we are so afraid to make the wrong choice, or maybe we are overthinking what is the right choice. And what I feel like is like the message in here is, it doesn't matter. Take the choice Make the choice that feels right, that feels aligned. Like, what does your gut say? What does your heart say? What just feels like the best choice right now? Not from your head, but from your heart. And when you follow that, trust that you will be led to the thing, place, person, whatever, that is meant for you. And you might learn something along the way. You will for sure. One more thing about that. This is also like you could say in the underworld. Now I'm reading this like the middle world and the underworld, like in a shamanic sense. This is like the lived experience, you could say. This is like your subconscious that is influencing whatever is going on up here from below. So just be aware of that this, what you might experience as maybe indecisiveness, maybe, like I said, like this odd fear of making a wrong choice. Maybe you're going back and forth on different options. Just be aware that there's something in your subconscious that is trying to prevent you from making the wrong, quote unquote, wrong choice, or making a choice at all. And it might be worth looking into that. I don't know if you do some kind of, because it just came up, this shamanic aspect, like maybe shamanic journeying, underworld journeying, some kind of work where you can access your subconscious, maybe journaling. I hear painting, art. Like you have your, like I said, you are very creative. You are very inventive. You have your own skills and your own way of doing things. So, like, how do you access this subconscious world of yours? How can you find this fear? And actually now they are bringing me back to this card, and they are saying that the last video I posted on my channel was actually talking about this in more depth. So there is something related here. You might look into that. Like, it's the last reading that I posted on my channel, and I usually link it at the end of this video. So this might be important or interesting for you. So let's get to the last card, which is above here, and it's the lion and the deer. Okay, so that's interesting. This is, oh wow, okay. I've just been glancing on the timer here, and I'm like, this is like, do you really want me to open up this whole new thing here? Okay, it's a side note. This is speaking to me about Mother Mary because of the blue she's wearing, but this is also like the first impression I got was Mother Mary, like this whole figure, but the blue that she's wearing is also referring to Mary Magdalene. So there is a very interesting connection between Mary and Mary Magdalene, and how the archetypal energies of those two are linked together. But this is like a whole different rabbit hole I'm not going down right now. But I want to say one thing. There is a connection between Mary Magdalene and the dragon. And all this orange and red color in here, like the orange, and it's here too, like the orange and the red, the orange too. This is like, that's the color of the second chakra, the sacral. And the red is the color of the root chakra, the first chakra. So these two are very closely linked together. Okay, I'm drawn again to this black hole here, which brings me back to this card and the last reading as well. I've been talking about this energy, about this black hole. There's something that is influencing you, your sense of security, your creative energies, and it's something you cannot see. It is something that's still in the void, something that is still hiding in the dark. And yeah, you might just want to check out the last reading. So the lion and the deer, this how do I put that in a... So we have this idea about the lion and the deer, that the lion is like the oppressor, the persecutor, and the deer is the victim. And there is this whole thing about Mary and how in the Christian church, what I understand, and this is not by all means, I cannot say for sure that this is backed in science. I should look into that. I'm a historian, an art historian, so I should look into that topic. But what I found from my more spiritual, mystical experiences is that there is a link between Mary and the dragon, and there are links between Mary and the dragon in art history and in theology and all of that. But it's usually depicted as like there are those pictures of, or this the symbolism of Mary standing on the dragon, Mary defeating the dragon. But this is actually something that causes a great friction. And it's important that Mary and the dragon, they find back to each other, because the dragon is actually part of the energy of Mary. So this is something, like I said, like this is opening a complete new book actually, and I won't say much more here. Maybe it will come out another time. It is a very fascinating subject, but this reading is like getting ridiculously long. Okay, I just want to know, like, what do we really take from this, like in the grand scheme of things here? Okay, there's something about like the higher energies. Okay. So this is like Mary and the dragon, like the merging of the dragon is a very liminal, very underworld creature. And now I'm seeing the caterpillar here as a snake. Actually, there's something about snake energy. And like Mary as this very high vibrating, pure archetype, and like the merging of those two. And if you look in the history of my channel, I've been making so many videos about like this topic of like the merging of those, like the different energies and union energies, like bringing together of the higher and the lower energies, quote unquote lower, like not lower in less than, but just like from the deep, from the underworld. So this is a common thread, like a common topic that's been discussed here a lot. All right, is there anything else? Nope, it's been fun. They're saying it's been fun. All right, if you stayed until here, I thank you for your presence, your patience, your co-creation in this space, because you're always co-creating with me here. I'm reading the energy, but you are all putting in your energy, gifting your energy to this space. So I thank you very much for that, and I hope it finds you and it serves you. If you liked the video, I would love for you to maybe subscribe to my channel, or leave a like or a comment. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to see you in the next video. Until then, take care.